Hey everybody, I am so excited for today's interview. These are my favorite thing that I do in our group. And today we get to hear from an expert on what is the difference between the work that we teach here and the approach we teach to healing here versus conventional medicines and holistic and alternative therapies, medicines, and modalities. And, why would she, as a health expert, come and do our program? And why would she send her clients to do our program? So I'm really excited for today. For those of you who are new, I'm Michal LeBaron. I'm your host in the group Wholehearted Healing, and that is the chronic illness solution. So I teach my clients to eliminate chronic illness, autoimmune conditions, chronic pain, mystery disorders in 3 to 4 months by getting to the root cause. And when you truly are fully healthy, those symptoms, illnesses, and conditions are gone. And the beautiful part is you don't need to continue restricted diets or supplements or therapies or adjustments or exercises or treatments. You don't need any of those Band-Aid approaches anymore. You don't need to avoid allergens. You're back to just being a normal, healthy person with a normal, healthy lifestyle. And that's one of the biggest gifts that I received in learning and finding in myself this work. And that's what I love to teach my clients. So to introduce, this is Madeline Bear, and she is an expert. She teaches mostly her clients how to eliminate chronic fatigue, digestive disorders, and anxiety. And she is kind of like a life, fitness, nutrition, and health guru, coach or expert. So in fact, other professionals hire her, and other practitioners and healers hire her to build their health programs. So that's who we're speaking with today. Thanks for joining us, Madeline.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat about this.
Yes, me too. I can't wait to learn from you, and for everybody to get to learn from you as well. So can you just share and start off by sharing what have you found is missing in conventional medicine? And people often get fed up with that, and then they go to holistic and alternative and integrative medicines and approaches, and it's kind of a rabbit hole with that too. They don't really get fully well. So what's missing, and what caused you to seek another way?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been kind of on my health journey like for the past 10 years or so, and the functional medicine had been a good turning point for me to start to see healing from where I began, which was not knowing anything about like nutrition and lifestyle in general. So it was a good foundation and a springboard for me to develop like healthy lifestyle and nutrition and, looking at the root cause. But at some point, especially the past couple years, I felt like I was doing everything right. I'm like, even through my education, I'm like, I know what I should be doing, and I'm doing everything that I can, but it kind of felt like a plateau where I didn't feel like I fully was able to heal or really enjoy my life and get out of my head, and still feeling chronic bloating, still feeling things that pop up in terms of, feeling anxious about things, just feeling this wave of fatigue and not knowing exactly why. And then I kind of like hone in on the things that I knew about nutrition and lifestyle, but I just felt like, okay, well, something's off. I need to find additional help. And so that's where I found you. And so the kind of gap that I have now discovered, now going through this program, like really believing it, because now I fully understand, okay, it makes a lot of sense. Like, I think when we were going through the program, you were teaching me a lot of like different tools and helping me dig deeper into my beliefs and emotions, which on a surface level, like I introduced that to my clients, kind of like just little baby steps, but to fully get into that deep like therapy, it's a whole nother level that honestly I didn't really know about or who did that. And so, like you said, it's the advanced program. So the way that I see how it fits in, it's like the foundations of nutrition and lifestyle and looking at the root cause and asking why. That's what lives in the functional medicine. And so it's this place to really dig in deeper beyond conventional medicine. But then now that I'm discovering it's a whole nother tier where, okay, that's not getting you to fully heal, instead of looping back into functional medicine and keep diagnosing and keep adding supplements and keep, like, we'll just try harder, like really focus on limiting out these foods. It gets more and more stressful. And that's where I was at, because I felt like I was going forward and then I'd kind of go back, and I was going forward and coming back. And then, so that's when I got introduced to you. And also I didn't know 100% what we were going to work on, but I totally believed in, like, I knew about the parasympathetic nervous system and where we're able to heal in that state. So I was very intrigued. I'm like, yes, what is the secret to get into that state? Because as a coach, it's always hard. We know what we should be doing, but to actually do the really hard work on belief systems and emotional release and really working through trauma and working just what's inside of us. Like, I can't do that myself. I've tried journaling, but I'm the one suppressing all the things that are inside of me. So how am I supposed to do all the work to uncover it when I'm the one hiding it? You need someone to come in and ask the right questions and to help you dig it out, because it was myself who was kind of playing little tricks and trying to hide things and kind of didn't know what I was looking for.
Love it. You're saying such good stuff. I'm taking notes so we can speak to what you're saying. So couple things, if you don't mind us just digging in deep.
Yeah, sure.
So for those of you who might be new, if you've been in my group a while, you know what we're talking about. If you're newer to the group, or maybe you haven't dove into the educational modules that I have here, what Madeline's speaking to is that where conventional holistic medicines or approaches or therapies or tools or oils or herbs or like all the stuff we do, the home remedies, the diet, lifestyle, like all the stuff out here that we do or take, or the things, those are working on the level of just our bodies, trying to stimulate something in our body, trying to suppress something in our body. The best we get from conventional and holistic medicines is a management or a suppression of our symptoms. And what we're left with then is that we are dependent upon those same modalities, those tools, or different and new ones, right? Or diets, right? We are dependent upon whatever we've used to suppress and manage our symptoms. And so what we teach, and I teach it all day long in this group. So if you haven't taken some time, schedule some time and dive into the video modules. The guide section is a great one to go to. The pinned posts at the top of the group are a great place to start. But what we do is say, hold on, that didn't get any of us well. That's what Madeline's saying. None of what she did in those realms got her fully healthy. And me too. And I was a guru and an expert teaching and had my own practice for 6 years and saw hundreds of clients and thought I was helping. And then I realized, wait a minute, I'm not healthy. I'm still a sick person that's just using all of this stuff to keep my symptoms at bay. So something is missing. So we started asking what's missing and what's controlling the function of the body and the cells and our digestive and immune and nervous system, all of that. What is controlling that? So what's controlling our body, our organs, our systems is our brain and nervous system. The body's the hardware. Think of your computer monitor. The brain and nervous system is the software, what we actually call the computer. So a lot of people know this, like it was not news to Madeline. What she's saying is she knew the power of the parasympathetic nervous system, which is called our resting and digesting state, our growth and repair state. That's the opposite of fight or flight, freeze, fawn, trauma, stress response. And so it's like vacation mode is the parasympathetic and go is the sympathetic. So, and we know that everybody with chronic illness is in fight or flight. That's not new. So a lot of people have developed more modalities, more remedies, more things. You meditate, you go get acupuncture, you do deep breathing, maybe yoga, to try to stimulate the parasympathetic. But those results are also very short-lived. And then you're also dependent upon those things. And as soon as you're done with yoga, you go back to your other state. So we know something is missing. And we know that the nervous system is actually reactive. It's not the source, it's reacting. There's something that happens before you go into fight or flight, right? There's something that happens before you're like, okay, I'm good. I don't have any worries for this week of vacation. I'm on the beach. I'm good. So what is it reacting to? What is controlling the brain and nervous system function? It's me. And it's all the stuff in me. It's the way I believe about myself and my life. It's the way I perceive things. It's my unresolved past events that I'm still carrying and that I buried. It's my emotions that I'm suppressing and repressing and projecting. It's all that inner turmoil or lack of peace or ways that we put ourselves last and we don't take care of ourselves and we don't value ourselves. And we put everyone and everything else first. And then we're victims to life. We don't know how to cope with stress and that inner stress. And so just to give context, that's what Madeline's talking about, is dealing on the level of me, on the level of those unconscious things and patterns maybe we don't even realize. We might know we have anxiety, but do we know why we have anxiety? Or, we might know we feel stressed out, but what is the stress? What actually is the tangible stress? And how do you get rid of it? And that's what we're working on the level of. So Madeline, do you mind explaining a little bit the difference you found between, like, everyone says it's stress. Even doctors say 98% of illness is caused by stress. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of techniques we learn even in functional medicine or some of those other holistic places of how we handle stress or how we deal with emotions. Can you describe the difference between what you did in holistic health versus what you found this to be, just so people can connect to it maybe a little bit better or deeper?
Yeah. I liked your example about the software and hardware, because a lot of the techniques that are very prevalent now are more of the external things that help you to slow down and just be a little bit more present. And there's nothing wrong against the yoga and meditation and, whatever else it might be. Maybe going to acupuncture is very soothing for you. And you can live in that moment and feel present and feel really good, maybe a little bit after too. But then we're so routine as humans, we go back into our routine and back into our habits, back into our old identity, or our identity hasn't changed. So we go back to that of who we think we are in the world. We go back to those beliefs. Those things, those core things don't really change in the software inside of ourselves. So it, like you said, is kind of temporary, where it does help, if you are very conscious about doing this very often. But I would say most of the time we're trying to fit it in and we're sprinkling it in here and there. And so we're getting little glimpses of it and it feels a little bit better, but we're not able to sustain that over a long period of time. And that's the real big difference for me, is that I feel like I can be more present and slow down. And I'm always still working on this too, committing to myself to slow down and be present throughout the whole day. And what's a little bit different about this program is that there's not a lot of work and homework to do. A lot of my foundational coaching that I do, it is a lot of habit building and things that you need to do, and okay, that didn't work and those are challenges. Okay, let's break it down, do it smaller. It's not easy work, it's deep work. But once you do the deep work, you don't have tasks to do, your action step. It's okay, just the hard work is in the sessions to really clean out what's inside and changing the identity and helping the beliefs and getting rid of all the snow. Yeah. And that way I had experienced that before when I did my coaching certificate. There was like this big kind of like all hands, and we did a little bit of like belief work. And so I had a little bit of glimpse of that when I had done this program, but it was like every session I was feeling this like just like release, and afterwards I just felt so light. It's hard to describe. It's like until you try it, it feels light. It feels like a weight has lifted, and there's a lot more positivity and a lot more of a lot less like thinking, but more of just feeling. Kind of hard to,
It is hard
make
to
that tangible, but it lasts a long time because it's like, oh, I'm not feeling that anymore. Okay, let me use the tools that we learned in the program to get back into it. And it's something that you don't have to go do or drive and do. It's like it's inside of you. So you always have it with you. So I guess like to kind of summarize the difference, one is working more on the hardware where you're kind of doing the external things, and it does help. It helps, but it's not sustainable to do it every second of the day. It's maybe like an hour a day, but this program is about committing to something that you take with you for the rest of your life, and you're checking in every minute, every hour of the day. Like I'm not doing it every hour of the day. I'm trying to do it whenever I and feeling a little bit sped up, but it's a tool inside of you. So it's different because it's in the software.
Yep. No, I love it. And this is hard to describe. And for people, I'm so grateful for you, especially as an expert in a health field. And you've been around the block in conventional medicine in your own journey, been around the block in all the holistic and alternatives. So it's very valuable. And I hope what people are hearing is it's not about checking out of your life to get away from the stress.
Mm-hmm.
It's about what you said was changing, what's inside me, so that when I get shaken up, or when I'm in my life, or when I'm dealing with my ongoing stressors and challenges, which are a normal part of this life, it's not wrong. It's not bad. It's a part of being human in this life. So when I actually change, and I can bring a new way of being into the stresses and challenges of my life, that's the only way it's sustainable.
Yes.
So we don't need to go be monks.
Right.
In whatever.
You also think about those big life events where one, you may not have the time or energy. Like when I lost my parents, like I couldn't go off and do yoga, or, I could probably meditate and things like that. But there's something very powerful to be able to have something that you have all the time with you, and you have the control to change you're not just the state that you're living in, the more of a rest digest or a fight or flight, and kind of change that state, but you also can change your experience, how you're able to be present like right away, within seconds, just by choosing to like slow down and use the tools, which it's hard to describe unless you do the program.
I know. Nobody gets it till the end.
Yeah, right? Like I'll try to like keep it more general, but I mean, honestly, when I came into the program, I was like, I just felt like I was like bright-eyed, and I was like, yes, give me the secrets. I'd love to try this. And I was willing to, I know not everyone is like this, but I'm always I'm very curious, and I love new things. So I'm like, oh yes, like I'd love to try something new. Like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I always know for me, whenever I'm choosing to step into something, especially health-wise, I'm always learning something. I always get something out of it, no matter what. And so, but through this program, it was beyond what I thought it could be, and what it could do. I mean, I was even a little skeptical, and I was like, oh, I don't know, like, we'll see. I'll just, but I trusted Michal because, just, there's a lot of confidence there, and so much knowledge. And so the way that you explained everything, I knew like basic concepts, but the way you strung things together, I was like, oh yeah, duh, like that makes sense. Yes.
I love it. Thank you so much. I will come back to some of what you're saying at the end, but it's so true. And what I tell people is I ask a lot of my graduates, I'm like, how could I have described this in any better way to you so you knew what this was? And I usually hear, no, you did describe, I just had no way to even conceptualize it until I did it. And on the other end, I'm like, oh yeah, all that, everything she said makes sense. Yes, I'm fully healthy. Yes, I know everything I need is within me. Yes, I know how to be in control of my experience. Yes, no matter how much I get shaken up, I know how to support myself through it, you know, and that's what you're describing. So wonderful. Okay. What did cause you to trust us in this approach and to, I mean, you were very committed and very open and very willing to no longer suffer and to dive into this work all in and get everything that you wanted to get and more. But what we teach conflicts and goes against everything else that's out there. All of it.
Yeah.
So what caused you to get over the skepticism, which all my clients are skeptical. None of them believe fully this is going to work because they've never experienced anything like this. And they've never experienced being fully healthy.
Right.
So how did you choose to trust enough to commit to yourself to this healing in this process?
Yeah, definitely. I think I had, I've been on a long journey, tried a lot of different things. Things have helped. Things have dramatically helped, especially being introduced to functional medicine where it started. But I was like, well, I want to feel like fully healthy. And I think because there's healthy people around me, and I'm like, how come I can't be like that? And I knew for myself and just in general that you can't go the journey alone, because it's hard to do by yourself. And my business partner and I always like joke, like, can you be my health coach? because you really need someone to help guide you. So I knew I needed some kind of guide or help. No matter how much I know, I need someone to hold me accountable. I need someone to, ask the right questions, to, teach me something new. And this was something that honestly, that I think a part of me inside, I know that stress is a main cause for sure. It took me years to understand that, even though my dad had always told me in the very beginning, like, stress is everything. Don't be stressed. Don't go do this. You're gonna get stressed. And I'm like, oh, Dad, I think I've mentioned that before. But so I know that that's a big thing, even in my learnings. And I know about the parasympathetic state, and I know kind of different ways to kind of get there, or just dabble in it, or kind of glimpses of it. But the way that you were able to communicate about like really owning the ability that I can get into that state and I can do something about it and heal fully was really appealing to me. Now, I was a little skeptical, like you said, because I was like, wow, I did have a little freak out in a moment. You told me that it was going to happen. And so for me, it just took, it's like I had to organize it in my brain. I'm like, okay, there is a place for functional medicine. I'm like, what I do is purposeful for people who are, needing to prevent something, or they're dealing with issues and they haven't really done much before. And supplementation and all those other things can help at a certain level. Once you get to a certain place, though you could certainly start with this for sure, but just saying that it helped organize it in my brain to, it is part of my identity of like a health coach. I'm like, okay, there's a place for that, but that doesn't mean just because I teach this and I coach this and I truly believe in functional medicine and it has really got me far, it doesn't mean I can't I have to close myself off to other possibilities and other things that can take me further. So I'm like, I don't want to be that person that is like, no, this is the only way. I always want to be open about things and learn things. So I was open to the idea of learning what goes beyond that. And understanding that functional medicine and supplements and all of the other things have its place. But for me, I needed to go further because I was kind of hitting a wall, and I needed someone to guide me into something new, something that would take me all the way.
Beautiful. Love how you articulate. Thank you. I want to speak to two things you said. Well, one, and then ask you another question. So when we are in fight or flight, we require a lot of support. We are not digesting optimally, which is why everyone in the holistic health field, one of the first things they talk about is your digestion and your digestive health. And I taught it for so many years. And we would do diet, we'd change diet, we'd supplement to boost the digestion, and we noticed everyone had leaky gut. There's like these themes and these things that you'll hear. And it never dawned on me to ask until it did. But why isn't the gut functioning the way it should? Right? So in fight or flight, we don't digest, we don't detox, our immune system is suppressed, our nutrient requirements go through the roof, which is why you have to supplement. You have to detox, you have to digest. You can't handle processed foods very well because our metabolisms are not efficient. So you have to eat certain things, maybe a lot more of high nutrient content and less of low nutrient content. And, you certainly don't want to throw anything that challenges your body, like a toxin, a pesticide, synthetic hormones, food coloring, those things. So for the planet and the majority of the people on it who are in fight or flight now, everything Madeline and I learned in holistic health is essential. The beauty is that there is another way. And for those of you who are open to learning what goes beyond the wall that you're hitting, just like Madeline said, that other way is, but what is it like when you just live in the parasympathetic? No one's talking about that. Like living there, like all the time, not just stimulating it sometimes, but from the inside out, from within you, turning on your parasympathetic all the time, because the messages you're giving to your brain and nervous system are, I'm at peace, I'm complete with the past, I'm valued, I'm supported, I'm okay, I make the supportive choices, I'm healthy in my relationship with myself, I know how to navigate my life no matter what comes my way, I know I will be okay. When that's what's inside the snow globe, and that's what gets shaken up when life challenges us, that's a life in the parasympathetic, like Madeline's describing. And you are in control of your experiences, and your experience of life changes. And when the parasympathetic's turned on, guess what? You detox the way you're supposed to, so you can handle more things. Your immune system is fully functioning. So allergies and sensitivities and all the immune problems and inflammation go away. You digest optimally, so you can handle a large variety of foods, some we might not even consider food, real food, right? But your body can just sort through it. And of course, I eat very healthy. I use common sense, but I eat gluten. I don't think it's the devil anymore. My body can handle it. That's beautiful. So I'm not constantly reading labels, and I'm not worried about if there's high fructose corn syrup in the ketchup at a restaurant. I enjoy a little bit of ketchup at the restaurant. Tastes good. So there's a whole other way that we are not taught that a few people on the planet have started coming to and realizing in this realm of work. And that's what's beautiful. So it's just another way. So Madeline, the question I have, because I hear from a lot of people similar to what you're saying, is that there's a lot of things that helped them. Ooh, hold on, I'm gonna pause real quick. Okay, we're back. A lot of people have said, oh, my essential oils have helped so much, or this therapy helps so much, or that helps so much. My chiropractic visits help so much, or like all those modalities that they're using to support their body on the basic level. There is this story that it's helped so much. I had that story because I used to be bedridden. Before I became fully healthy, I got to not bedridden. I had a pretty normal life. I just lived in a bubble and avoided a bunch of triggers and ate very strict and had a million supplements and, air filters and water filter, like the whole thing, right? I had a whole lifestyle about it and it was very restricted, but I wasn't bedridden. So I thought those things helped me, meant they got me closer to being fully healthy. When I redefined health, I discovered my symptoms have not improved. In fact, most of them are as bad as they have been. I've just been suppressing them. I'm wondering if you can speak to that from your own experience. Mm-hmm. What is the truth that you discovered when you stopped suppressing your symptoms? Like, were they still, like on a scale of 1 to 10, like were they still as severe as they, were they still 10s, 10 being the most severe or whatever on that end? Can you speak to that for people?
Yeah.
And what I would encourage you guys as you're listening to this is because we have biases and filters through which we see the world. Mm-hmm. And all the information that you receive or see or view or think about or get told goes through these filters. Like, is this true, bad, good, right, wrong? What do I think, what not? And the filters are making the choice for you. Your biases unconsciously are making the choice for you of, does this fit inside of what I already believe or not? And you kind of automatically kick out the stuff that is new or that is challenging to your already held beliefs. So the best way to view these interviews and to hear what Madeline is saying is to say, well, she got herself fully healthy in 3 months. We didn't talk about that, but Madeline reversed her chronic illnesses that she had for years after trying, was it Stanford? I always get it wrong.
Oh yeah, in the beginning. Yeah.
Stanford doctors didn't help, holistic doctors, functional medicine, like that's what she's saying. She has another video testimonial on that and all the illnesses she reversed. But she did that within 3 months. I don't know how many weeks it was. It was like 10, 11.
10 or 11. Yeah.
So that's what Madeline did. So I think there's something really valuable. Like if you want to get there too, or if you don't know how to do that for yourself, you should probably pay attention to what Madeline is saying. And a healthy thought process would be, which is what I had to come to, and it was very scary and took a lot of courage. Oh crap, I'm not healthy. I'm actually a sick person managing symptoms. That was really scary for me to admit. And it was very scary for me to admit as a functional medicine practitioner, if I'm not healthy, I don't know how to teach clients how to be healthy. Mm-hmm. Incredibly humbling. That's the crisis. That's the freak out Madeline's talking about. Is like, oh shit. It's the oh shit. It's the language. So if you can listen from, maybe there is something I don't know, or this would be more honest. Clearly there is something I don't know in how to be fully healthy, which means symptom free. Mm-hmm. And no need to manage symptoms with anything, because I'm not there. So I'm really going to pay attention to Madeline and recognize this is going to go against my beliefs, and I'm going to experience something called cognitive dissonance, which is very uncomfortable and outside my comfort zone. Like, I don't know how to fit this information that I'm hearing. So just be aware of that. So what I see in all my clients is that they minimize their symptoms and they don't get honest about how bad they are. Mm-hmm. And because they're taking supplements, restricted diets, and having chiropractic every day or 3 times a week or whatever, once a week or once a month, or all the tools that you're using to like keep your symptoms at bay, they think that they're doing a little bit better off than they are, or a lot better off than they are. They lie to themselves about how bad things actually are, because if we admit that to ourselves, it's very scary. Mm-hmm. And it's very scary to know we don't know how to get ourselves well. That's why we lie to ourselves and we minimize it. And one of our biases is, I'm going to believe whatever is most familiar to me. It's one of the most popular unconscious biases or filters that we have. So that means that you guys in the group can't hear what I'm teaching, or you see people getting well and all these video testimonials, but you tell yourself that can't happen for me, or somehow that must not be true. Or like our latest cyber bully and troll that came around this week, it was, she must be making that up. Those are fake testimonials, because people cannot wrap their minds around, which is actually coming from another health practitioner, believe it or not, because they can't wrap their minds around that this is actually possible. Why? Because they're not healthy themselves. So just to bring context to you guys, so you can really get the value from what Madeline is saying and the time that she is volunteering to come here and share and teach you guys. So Madeline, what did you discover was the truth about how bad your symptoms really were? Mm-hmm. Even though you thought, and it had felt like a lot of things had helped. Can you speak to that?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I think first off, just addressing that, I think hearing and thinking about 3 months, wow, you can fully become healed. Like crazy, right? Well, let's just say this is like a real testimonial. This is like my real experience. This is not like made up or anything. I was coming to you with symptoms that were at 10s and 9s and very high up there, because it also, you can get caught up in all the things that you're doing. You're like, yeah, it does help, and it's like suppressing this. But then I started like looking around and be like, wow. So for me, a big thing is, this is why I'm all into gut health, is because I've always dealt with a lot of gut issues. And for me at this point, it was still dealing with constipation. And I was like, yeah, it's so much better. I go like, once a day, which, yeah, great. This is like big improvement for me, when in the very beginning, 10 years ago, I was going like every eight days, and it was just horrible. And you can imagine what that was doing to my body, not being able to detox. But then like thinking about it more, I was like, wow, I take like 3 supplements at night so I can go to the bathroom, and for me, that was seeing like, oh, it worked. Like I feel like, okay, everything's are working. But then, going through this program, I'm like, well, I don't want to have to take 3 supplements to go to the bathroom. There's foundational supplementation that I personally like to take, but it's the ones that are more therapeutic to help my body do what it's supposed to do that I would like not have to take. It'd be great. And so over the course of the 3 months, like I'm just taking 1 supplement that's like at half dose. I like taking magnesium. It just helps because I know that for me, like minerals, like I'm kind of a little bit depleted, but I'm not taking like a motility activator. I'm not taking any kind of laxative teas. I was drinking that every night because I was like, oh no, like I have to drink this. And so and honestly, like within 3 months, like my bloating has gone down like 90%. Of course, like I think it's also a mental perception of like, oh, I ate something, I'm bloated. No, it's just my stomach is full. Because we always expect our stomachs to be flat, but it's not the case. And I was always seeing a lot of bloating, especially around like, my menstrual cycle, like ovulation. I was like, oh, it's because of that. But towards the end of the program, I had absolutely no bloating. And so for me, that went down from like a 10 to 1. Another one that was huge was PMS symptoms. I had period flus where I was literally nauseated on the floor for hours during the night. And I was like, this is just really not fun. I was taking supplements that I had that had helped and worked to a certain degree, but I was still getting these bad monthly symptoms, especially during certain months. And honest to God, like the first week that we did we had like 3 sessions because with consultations in there, and they were very like deep conversations and working through emotions and beliefs. Ever since then, had not had that period flu, very, very minimum cramps. I was playing tennis the first 2 days that I had my period. And like, I have to say that had not been the case for at least like 5 years. And so for those who are kind of doubting, like how could you possibly do 3 months if you've been trying to do this for like 10 years? It's because I was constantly in this stressful state. And when people think about being in a stressed state, they think, oh, like I'm just stressed at work, or it's, but we don't think about how just even the mental stress that comes with even around, like I was stressing out about food, and that was throwing me into a stressful state. So we had worked on, not pushing my meals out and talking about meal timing, and that caused me a lot of anxiety, like feeding myself as much as I needed, or not denying myself things that my body needed. And so that just helped calm my system down. So just a small example of what was causing me stress. It wasn't necessarily something that was very external that you could see, or I was going through this big life event, even though I went through a big house move. But
you got healthy and you went through a big house move.
And yeah, I got healthy, and I probably did it at the most stressful time that I've been in, I don't know, in like 7 years, because I moved. Like if anything, if anyone's like, oh, I want to just program, but I'm really stressed out, or this is coming up and I'll just wait. I didn't 100% know initially, like when we met, like I thought we were going to do more like functional work until like you introduced the program. I was like, okay, yeah. But if I had known ahead of time, I would have been like, okay, now's not the time. I just bought a house and I'm renovating my house, and I've taking on new responsibilities where I'm like doing 3 jobs, and just like so much going on that I would have been like, no, let me wait till after that. But honestly, having this program to help me through that is what made it manageable, and I still was able to heal. So I think those were 2 big symptoms that I had. Another one was feeling that adrenal fatigue. Like I was on adrenal support because I was just feeling these really bad crashes, and I was always trying to blame something external. I was like, oh, is that smoothie? It was too much high in sugar. But I was like, but I added fat and protein. And I was like, oh, is this or that? And now I fully healed that to where I find when I am throwing myself into the stressful state and I'm not taking care of myself, I'm not putting myself first, that those are the symptoms that I feel. And it's not an adrenal issue that's chronic. It's something that pops up for me that's new when I am just doing it, what things that I want to do when I want to do them, and I don't care what my body will do because I need to do this. So
I love it. Well, thank you and just so you know, this is also unscripted. So we kind of came up with some cool questions to ask and like point us in the right direction of what we wanted to talk. And Madeline, I asked Madeline, is there anything you specifically want me to ask or say? And she's like, nope, let's just, I want to speak from my heart as it comes out. So just to speak to this too, like this is just us having a conversation and including you guys in it. And the biggest takeaway, I think, is the stress is not the outside things. And, you know, for me too, I thought my symptoms were mostly resolved. I think on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being resolved, or sorry, 1 being resolved, 10 being as bad as it could possibly be. I thought I was maybe two to 4s on my autoimmune disease, my genetic illnesses, my food allergies, my kind of nervous system sensitivity being overstimulated, and my noise and sound sensitivities. And I was pretty much 9s and 10s all the time too. And for me, I was like, when I actually slowed down and got honest, it was like, oh yeah, I have headaches every day. I thought I maybe had headaches once every month or 2 months. Those were debilitating migraines that landed me in bed every month or 2. The headaches were every day. I learned to push through them. And that's part of how I was an unhealthy person, is learning to push through, speed up, push through, buck up, go, 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 just do it. Blah, blah, you know, that's how I was being an unhealthy person. And when you guys look at, would you treat a toddler or a child the way you treat yourself? You'd be like, no way in HE double hockey sticks, right? Like that would be abusive. That would be terrible. And you're like, that's how you're treating yourself. Is there any wonder why you feel bad? You're in an abusive relationship with yourself. So that's some of what Madeline's speaking to. And it's not a Madeline thing. You guys, it's a you thing. It's a human thing. When we have chronic illnesses, everything Madeline's talking about is what we find in every single one of our clients. Maybe we talk about it a little bit different. Maybe the symptoms or the illnesses are a little bit different, but the same patterns that we have, same kinds of relationships with ourselves that we have, the same kind of inner turmoil or snow or stress that we have, that's all the same. So this isn't like a Madeline problem. If you are smart, you're going to be looking, how can I see what Madeline's talking about in me so I can bring self-awareness to those things that are running the show and keeping me stick. And then those are the things that you then can start changing. So, and Madeline, I love that you said you did the program in the most stressful time. And if you would have let your mind talk you out of it, or your fear talk you out of it, or your insecurity or doubt talk you out of it, it would have sounded like this just isn't the right time. Or I know you're married, so maybe it will stress my husband out too much, right? We project so many of our fears, which we're actually experiencing now in our life. It's the very things we want to change that are our excuses why not to change. So it'd be, I'm already too stressed. Well, that's the reason you need to do the program, you know? So, you know, or my husband and I are not in a good spot. Well, that's the reason you need to do the program. So you can show up your best self, happy and healthy and whole, and start changing those patterns, having the energy to show up your best in your marriage, right? So you got to catch yourself in that, the trick of the mind that will keep you making choices that keep you unhealthy. So good job. So Madeline dove all in. Let's wrap up with the last few questions here. You kind of shared, is there anything else you want to share about your experience with this work and becoming healthy? Do you feel like you?
I just like one point, I like just going back to what you're saying about people feeling like it's not for them or kind of doubting the program, because I just want to like kind of normalize that, because I felt that too, because it's something that you can't put into a pill and you can't put it into a workout program, and you can't you know, promote a product. Yeah. And so it feels very foreign because we're surrounded by all of this marketing and all these tactics and, you know, things that, you know, we can still enjoy and buy and consume, but this is something that's different and it's not as tangible, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't work. And I think just knowing that, of course, like you're going to have doubt in the very beginning, and it's going to be our minds, with anything that's different or there's change or it doesn't make sense yet, there can be that resistance of like, I don't know, that how can that be? But if there's anything I could say, like, and why I chose to do it is because I always think about what would be the worst thing. It's like, okay, maybe I wouldn't feel 100%, but I bet I would gain something out of it where I'd learn something or take some kind of step. Like there was nothing bad that was going to happen if I did the program. If anything, I'm going to get something out of it. So that's kind of also why I made that decision, even though I had like some doubt. I'm like, well, it doesn't matter because I know I'm going to learn something. And so it just took me a lot further. And like, it is amazing to kind of think about in 3 months, there's so much that you can do. But you learn a lot of things. So
yeah, no, I love it. Yep. And I would say we see that in 100% of clients. It's not a Madeline thing. I tell people, you're not going to believe this till you graduate. And you're like, I'm healthy. Like this is now I'm uncomfortable because I'm healthy. I've only known how to be a sick person this whole time. Who am I now? Like, what do I remember thinking for myself, so I'm just a normal, boring, healthy person now. Oh, it's kind of like being a little special and different, I like had to process that for a minute,
Yeah.
But all my friends like have weird health stuff and we eat weird foods together. And that's like what we do. Like, what am I going to do now? So
Everything
and what
changes.
Madeline's saying too, her body, we, after graduation, we provide a lot of support, lifetime support. And our bodies continue to heal, digest, detox, and repair 24/7. And so even when chronic illnesses are resolved, we start digesting and absorbing. And it might take a little bit more time for some people than other people, but eventually you do replenish and restore all your nutrients just from regular foods. So just a shout out there. Supplementation becomes optional. And we also don't tell people what they have to do. We let them follow their heart. Like I love Epsom salt baths. Like I love them. And do I need them to be healthy or manage symptoms? No. But it's just something I like doing.
Yeah.
Do I need Juice Plus, like the whole food vitamin, not vitamin, whole food vegetables, fruits, and berries? I love those. I feed them to my daughter. I feed them to my husband. I eat them, probably not every day, but I eat them very regularly. Do I need them to be healthy? No. And there's just a little bit of peace of mind that I'm, giving my body the optimal variety that I possibly can. There's just something about it. And I've taken them and I've not taken them and I've not taken them for months. And I've started taking them for my little toddler who, is going through some picky food phases, and it's just like, oh, well, good. At least we're going to supplement and get you some fruits and vegetables and berries and, all of that good stuff. But it becomes an optional thing. And it also becomes something that is, that has no emotional charge to it. Whereas before, I had to take things because my body didn't work. And if I stopped taking those things, I would feel sick or my symptoms would flare up. And so I just wanted to add that.
Yeah. And that's where the anxiety comes from. I think that's the difference. Like I love essential oils and I use them, but, and I like to put them on while I work and, I like using them. And same thing as some supplements, I like using them, but if I forget to take them, I'm just like, oh, okay, that's fine. I'll take it the next day or whatnot. It doesn't become this thing where it was before, where I'm like, oh my gosh, like if I don't take this, tomorrow is just gonna be a horrible day. That's the anxiety that comes for it. And so it's funny how, not funny, but like interesting how it's like a feedback loop of, I have to do this thing in order to be healthy, which feeds into the anxiety, which feeds into the stress, which puts you back up into the stressful state. So having to rely on things, is what is kind of sabotaging me, because it would throw me into that like kind of stressful state. I'm like, oh my God, I can't have this thing. Like I forgot it, or, but now it's just so much more at peace. And I feel like my mind's more quiet. It's just like I do that when I want to do it, and I have that if I want it, and if I don't, then that's fine too.
Yep, I love it. And a lot of our clients, it's funny, this happened to me too. Remember Madeline has completed her 3 months, and she's a graduate now of our advanced health course. So I held on to my supplements for several months after I knew I was healthy, because it was almost like out of habit, or maybe like is this real? Like, am I going to flare up? Like, is it all going to go away? And then at some point I was like, I just found myself I stopped taking everything. I was like, oh, I really am healthy. It really doesn't matter. I don't know why I'm taking this. I was off supplements for years, still fully healthy. And then my toddler, well, she's 4, she's almost 5. She graduated preschool. So that was a change in diet. And then it's, she wants nachos for breakfast, and we try our best. But there's just some things happening with that. So I was like, I think I'd like to get her some of the Juice Plus gummies. I trust the company. I know them very well. Have used them in the past, and they're not a supplement that suppresses symptoms either. They just support and enhance the body. That's very important in what we teach. So I got her these gummies, and they taste really good. So when I give her the gummies, I start taking them myself. Support the body a little extra, So Madeline, it'll be fun to watch Madeline over the years, because some of what she's taking now, she might just be like, oh, I forgot about that. I haven't taken that for months, but it really is up to each person. And the beauty is you just get to make responsible choices for how you want to live. And it doesn't come from illness, and it doesn't come from fear. It just comes from, I think it resonates with me to stay in this for a little while, or I really like how that tastes, or I really like how that feels, and so, it just becomes like anything else in life. Do I want to go to the gym, or do I want to stay in and do art? Do I want to go by the river walk today, or do I want to play my violin? Like, I'm not making myself work out to lose weight. I'm not, you know what I mean? It just becomes a preference of what feels right. And food and supplements and anything else in life just becomes the same way, which is really, really beautiful. So I think you've answered, but if you want to say anything else, why does this work when every other approach and thing has failed for people, in your expertise and opinion?
Because it's doing the inner work that it's so hard to approach that. Like, I don't know any other program that does that. Even like what I coach too is like a little bit about belief systems and stress management, which is a great kind of starting block. But this is at a whole nother level that is working deeper inside of you. So again, like, it's something that you always take with you. And it's not something that you have to take or do to feel healthy. Like, you become healthy in the way that you're able to get in that parasympathetic state. And that's hard. It's hard to know how to get into that. It's really hard to know, not just to get into it for an hour or even 2 hours or 30 minutes, but how to live like that.
Yep. Yes. Which I had never even heard of before. I knew about the nervous system. In fact, I remember in my anatomy and physiology 101, like at the beginning of my professional education, I was reading about the nervous system, and what it said was the nervous system's job is to monitor everything and keep the body in homeostasis. Fancy word for everything's working the way it should. There are no symptoms in homeostasis. When we're out of homeostasis, the nervous system creates a symptom. It said this in a regular medical textbook. The nervous system creates a symptom to alert us of the imbalance. I remember rereading that like 10 times, being like, what? And then, of course, no one talks about it. It's right there, staring me in the face. So I've come around to it after so many years, a decade and a half of a big, long route to get to here of like, oh, it's all come full circle now. To resurrect that and say, wow, we create our symptoms intentionally. There is an intelligent design to the creation of our symptoms, if we can actually understand where they're coming from, what they mean, what that's communicating to us, we can do something about it. And it's really beautiful. So really the nervous system is key, and you're the one controlling it. You just don't know you are. So that's what you learn to do. Last thing before we wrap up, and thanks, you've been very generous, and those who have made it this far have been very generous with your time to stay engaged and to learn. What would you say to people watching? And they may be on the fence. They may be thinking it's not the right time, or they're stressed out about finances or time, because those are one of our biggest stressors. Or a lot of the questions we ask, but will all of these issues go away too? Like, can all my symptoms go away? Or I hear, will it work for me, or does it just work for some people? Or I hear, what if there's like physical injuries or chemical injuries? Like, am I damaged forever now? Or like, what if it's genetic, or what if there's like a physical abnormality, like I've had my thyroid out, or I have special circumstances? These are the questions I hear the most that stop people from taking action to be healthy. And Madeline, to fast forward 3 months from now and be sitting where you are, knowing themselves as fully healthy. So what do you want to say to them, if there's anything?
Yeah. Just that I think when we talk about the nervous system, it's very cerebral. So it feels very like, I don't know how to draw that out or picture it out, or like, what does that mean? And that's okay if you don't fully understand, because you learn in this program. And also just to know that if it feels kind of like your mind's bouncing everywhere, mine was too, but the program is very structured. So there's structure to it, and there's steps to it. There's like tools in there. So it becomes very tangible. You just can't do that in an hour and explain that, because there's a system to it. And so I think, any kind of testimonial too, or any kind of video, it's hard to explain a 3-month program, but just knowing to trust that, again, like saying yes to your health is always going to be the best thing that you could ever do in your life, because you're learning something, you're benefiting from something that you're going to take for the rest of your life. And it's never a right time. And you just have to choose where you want to spend your money. I mean, whether that's going to be, I don't know, any kind of example, like just looking at like, where are you spending your money, and where can maybe you cut back and save for something that's literally going to change how you experience your life and live with more joy. Like, I don't know, for me personally, that's priceless for me. So I made it work, and I'm so glad I did. And I'm glad I didn't think too hard about whether right or not it was the right timing. I think we're always trying to find some way to say, well, this isn't going to work, or it's not. It's just because it's the unknown. So our brains are always going to find a way to say, well, it's the money. Well, it's not the right time. Well, I don't really know if that's going to work for me. It's just our brain putting up those barriers to protect ourselves from that change or that unknown. But really, if you step into the unknown, which, nothing can go wrong here other than you're going to learn something. At the very minimum, you're going to learn something. And whenever you can learn something or educate yourself, there's always personal growth. So there's really nothing wrong that can happen. But yeah, I would just say, like, finding your priorities. Like, if health is your priority, like, this is a great next step to take.
Love it, Madeline. So truthful and very to the point. And yeah, what we've seen is you're already spending the money on being sick and all the Band-Aids. So if you can either add that up over the rest of your life and hope and pray that your issues that are unresolved aren't going to fester into worse and more issues, or you can cut out the guesswork and you can commit to 3 months of your life to learn how to live in the parasympathetic and where your body rapidly repairs, and save that money for the rest of your life. I mean, gosh, chiropractic alone, for me for the rest of my life was going to cost $178,000. So you can either spend that and not be healthy and suffer for that time, or you could spend much less, barely a fraction, right? Recoup those costs within the year, within 2 years, and actually enjoy your life and be healthy and happy. So I love it. So I wrote down some of what Madeline said, her little gold nuggets, and I'm just going to recap a few things. If you are open to learning what goes beyond the wall that you're hitting with your health and become all the way healthy, this is for you. And I would love to have a conversation to see if it is a good fit and to talk about all your unique circumstances and make sure that it works. And we've developed a process over so many years of research, and I teach from my own experience, not from something I learned in school, from having to seek and find this path to health and walk through it. That's how I can teach it from my experience. We found a process that is duplicatable and reliable to work within 3 to 4 months for our clients. And we have a 100% success rate amongst our graduates. So that's pretty cool. I don't know other systems or tools that can say that. Essential oils are great. There's some amazing testimonials about people using essential oils. It doesn't work for everybody. And nobody knows why either. They can't tell you why it worked for Sally, but not for John. So, so Madeline didn't know fully what this program was, but she said she knew the power of the parasympathetic nervous system, and she wanted to own the ability to fully heal herself. She knew and recognized that she could not do it by herself because she's the one that's hiding and suppressing all the stuff. So there's no way to walk yourself through it. You need somebody out here that can help you identify and bring up what's in your blind spots, which is the stuff that you don't know about. We can do something about what we know. We can do something about what we know we don't know. But if we don't even know what we don't know, there's no way to access that without somebody guiding us through. What she said she got is that she got that it's inside of her. And access to health and access to being and living in rest, digest, growth, repair, everything's fine. And I've got this, and inner peace and being resilient is inside of her. So it's always with her. So if you want something, a deep transformational change within you that will change how your brain and nervous system works automatically, that will change how your body functions automatically, that's why this would be a good fit. If you are ready to be and accept that you're the one in control of your experiences, which is also what Madeline said she got. Oh, I'm in control of my experience and I can change my experience. Those are the people that I work with. And what she said was, well, I'll say it this way. Who you have to be for this to work is to be willing and open, to be bright-eyed and curious, just like Madeline, because that's the only thing that's going to take you beyond what you think this could be for you. And my commitment, everybody on my team and the coaches and the people that I collaborate with, our commitment is that you don't graduate until you're fully healthy and until you've actually gotten and experienced what we're teaching, not just conceptually know about it. And like Madeline said, can't give that to you in an hour. We're giving you everything that there is, but for you to get it, it takes you walking about a 10 to 12 week process for you to get it on the level that we have it. So if that's you, if you're inspired, you're no longer willing to suffer and continue to choose to be chronically ill or chronically in pain, I would love to book a free consultation with you. We'll spend 90 minutes together getting to know each other. I will look over all your medical records from a clinical perspective, if you would like, and we'll talk about what this work will be. We'll uncover and dig in and actually start doing the deeper work so we can figure out, when did you start your illnesses and what were they about and what didn't you cope with? and what are the kinds of things internally we will deal with, and what are the kinds of areas of life that are problem areas that we will apply the work of the program. So your whole life gets to change. So I will book that, or I will post that link in the comments below. And if you guys have any questions, please let me know. I love to educate. Madeline, thank you so much for your generous time, your story, your truth bombs, and anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
No, well, thank you so much for letting me speak about this. And yeah, it's been quite a great journey, and I feel like I've gotten so far, and yeah, it's amazing. It's been 3 months, but it's possible.
Thank you so much. Awesome,
Thank
guys.
you.
Have a great day. We'll talk again soon.